Imagine a life where fear never stops you and doubt never holds you back. In this audiobook, you will discover the exact strategies to confront fear daily, challenge negative thoughts, visualize success, embrace discomfort, question limiting beliefs, practice decisive action, focus on small wins, develop self-awareness, replace excuses immediately, and commit to consistency to transform your life completely. Every chapter is packed with practical advice you can use right now to grow stronger, sharper, and unstoppable. This video is designed to give you 100% value with zero ads interrupting your focus, so you can immerse yourself fully in learning and transformation. If you want daily guidance to conquer fear, boost confidence, and create unstoppable momentum in your life, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Every day, a new audiobook chapter will give you the tools to improve yourself relentlessly. Start now and never let fear control your life again. Chapter 1. Confront fear daily to weaken its hold over you. Fear is not a sign of weakness. It is a natural signal that something matters to you and that the path ahead requires courage and clarity. Face fear every day, and its power shrinks. This chapter teaches a clear, disciplined approach to confronting fear that turns anxiety into action and doubt into progress. Begin by treating fear like information. Name it exactly. Write a sentence that begins with "I am afraid of" and finish it in no more than 12 words. Read that sentence aloud and feel the shape of it in the body. Notice where the chest tightens, where the jaw clenches, and where the mind races. Naming the fear brings it out of the fog and into a frame where it can be examined and moved through. A mind that can name what it fears has the tools to respond rather than react. Next, measure the fear. Give it a number from 0 to 10. Be honest. If the number is 10, break the fear down into smaller parts until each part sits at 5 or below. A 10 is overwhelming because it contains multiple smaller fears. When each smaller fear is visible, it becomes manageable. This is the first actionable principle. Practice it every morning for 5 minutes. 1 page a day in a dedicated journal that holds nothing else, clears the noise and builds a steady habit of clarity. After naming and measuring come the stoic step of separating what can be controlled from what cannot. Ask 2 questions for every fear. What in this fear can I change through my actions today, and what lies outside my control permanently or temporarily? Write down 1 clear action you can take within the next 24 hours. If no action exists, identify the thought you can change and the small ritual that will protect the mind from spinning into catastrophe. This separation is not passive resignation. It is decisive allocation of energy. Energy wasted on the uncontrollable weakens resolve and prevents progress. Reserve attention for the controllable and design simple responses for the uncontrollable. So the mind is not hijacked by uncertainty. Turn the abstract into the concrete. Build a tiny exposure plan. Fear retreats when met with repeated controlled exposure that is safe and deliberate. Choose a low-cost, low-risk first step that edges you toward the thing you fear. If public speaking terrifies, start by reading a 2-minute passage into your phone and listening back. If asking for a raise scares you, rehearse 1 key sentence and say it to a mirror each morning for a week. If social anxiety tightens the throat, walk into a small social setting and stay for 10 minutes. Record what happened. Repeat, increase the difficulty by no more than 20% each time. The 20% rule prevents overwhelm and forces steady progress. Exposure is not reckless, it is tested practice. Design challenges that are uncomfortable but not destructive. Pair exposure with a clear debrief. After every attempt, ask 3 focused questions. What did I do? What did I learn? What will I change next time? Answering these questions builds a feedback loop that converts fear into skill. Build rituals that anchor the nervous system before exposure. Use breath as a tool. A controlled breathing routine of 6 slow breaths in through the nose, filling the belly for 4 counts and exhaling for 6 counts. Slows heart rate and clears mental clutter. Do this for 1 minute before any fearful step. Add a grounding exercise. Name 5 things you can see, 3 sounds you can hear, and 2 sensations in the body. This route of the senses pulls attention away from imagined threats and into the present, where action can be taken. Strengthen the body to strengthen the mind. Resistance training, short intense cardio and daily walks, change physiology and change thresholds for stress. A body that endures physical challenge interprets psychological stress differently. Physical discipline does not remove fear, but it reduces the intensity of the body's alarms and improves recovery. Schedule 3 short training sessions per week and treat them as non-negotiable laboratory sessions for growing resilience. Reframe failure by practicing premeditatio malorum, a stoic exercise that imagines possible setbacks and prepares responses ahead of time. Write down the worst reasonable outcome for a step you plan to take, and then list 3 realistic strategies to handle it. Imagine the outcome briefly, then close the page and get to work. This technique diminishes the mind's power to catastrophize because the worst case has already been acknowledged and planned for. Build a voice of reason inside the head. Replace vague negative predictions with exact challenges. Instead of thinking I will fail, create a specific testable statement. I will practice this pitch 3 times and then ask for feedback. Concrete actions break the loop of doubting thoughts. Surround yourself with small, consistent accountability. Choose one person who will receive a short daily update on progress. Do not seek permission or consolation. Send a single-line message that states the action taken and a single measurable result. Accountability shortens the distance between intention and action and also creates social friction against avoidance. Celebrate small wins with a brief note in the journal and an action that reinforces competence. After a successful exposure, take a moment to write the exact facts of what occurred, then perform a brief ritual to mark the win. The ritual can be as simple as a deep breath and a fist squeeze. The small celebration conditions the brain to associate brave action with reward and accelerates habit formation. Use time as an ally. Real change is a product of repeated small actions, not dramatic gestures. Commit to a 30-day campaign to confront a single fear. Each day perform one small measurable action that moves you closer to the goal and record the result. At day 30, evaluate honestly, then set the next 30-day target. This method turns fear reduction into a schedule and removes moralizing language like should or must, which can paralyze. Cultivate perspective through deliberate comparison. View current fear through the lens of past challenges that were overcome. List 3 occasions when difficulties were handled and the outcome was better than anticipated. This anchor returns the mind to a fact-based record of competence. Do not overuse memory to avoid nostalgia. Instead, use it as evidence of capability that can be relied upon now. Address the inner critic with a firm, short statement that stops rumination. When negative loops begin, speak a 1-sentence corrective statement that contains truth and action. For example, say, I feel fear now, and I will take one small, reliable step toward what matters. Repeat that sentence once and begin the step. Words matter not as magical spells, but as commands that realign attention. Maintain a boundary around consumption of fear-fueling material. Reduce time spent on exaggerated accounts of danger and on anxiety-provoking social media content. Intake affects output. Curate 3 sources that inform and support the needed skill and avoid sensationalism. Create a daily mini practice of courage that is non-negotiable and unrelated to big goals. This keeps the muscle active. A 5-minute cold shower, a single difficult conversation, a handwritten note asking for feedback, a morning of silent focus. Each builds a habit of facing discomfort. Finally, accept that courage is a habit, not a trait. It develops through action and through the controlled failure that follows action. Fear will not disappear completely and doubt will return. That is normal. The measure of progress is frequency of action despite fear, not the absence of feeling. Keep a simple record of days acted versus days avoided, and let the numbers guide decisions. End each day with a clean review. Write what was attempted, what was learned, and one precise action for tomorrow. That short discipline closes the loop and prepares the mind for repeated confrontation. The path is direct and practical. Name the fear, measure it, separate what is controllable, design tiny exposures, anchor the nervous system with breath and grounding, strengthen the body, plan for setbacks, use accountability, celebrate small wins, schedule 30-day campaigns, and keep consumption clean. Do these things consistently, and fear will stop calling the shots. The result is not an absence of emotion, but a life where emotion informs intelligent action, and where doubt becomes a signal to test and improve rather than a reason to retreat. Chapter 2. Challenge negative thoughts to strengthen your mental resilience. Negative thoughts are not enemies. They are signals pointing to areas where the mind is untrained or overstimulated. They are habits, just like physical tension or posture, and they can be observed, measured, and transformed. Confronting them is not about suppression. It is about intelligent engagement and structured mental work. Begin by creating a dedicated time and space to notice thoughts without judgment. Spend 10 minutes each morning or evening quietly tracking what comes to mind. Write down every thought that sparks discomfort, self-doubt, or hesitation. Seeing thoughts on paper removes them from the endless looping space inside the head and gives a concrete object to study. Once recorded, classify each thought. Ask yourself whether it is factual, opinion, fear based on assumption, or past experience that no longer applies. This categorization is critical because the mind often mistakes old experiences or worst-case scenarios for present reality. Learning to distinguish between what is real and what is imagined builds a foundation for resilience. Next, challenge each negative thought actively. Take one thought at a time and question it rigorously. What evidence supports this thought? What evidence contradicts it? Could there be a neutral interpretation? This method transforms abstract worry into a structured evaluation. For example, a thought like "I am not capable of speaking in public" can be dissected into evidence of skills already demonstrated, gaps in preparation, and specific steps to improve. By dissecting the thought into actionable elements, the mind begins to respond rationally rather than react emotionally. Pair this with visualization of a successful outcome. Close the eyes and imagine performing the exact task while maintaining calm and focus. Incorporate all senses. Notice the sound of your voice, the clarity of your gestures, the flow of attention. Rehearsing success mentally reduces fear, intensity, and strengthens confidence. Develop a rebuttal system for recurring thought. Identify the most frequent negative patterns and write concise counter-statements. Keep them short, factual, and actionable. For instance, instead of thinking "I will fail," shift to "I have prepared and will perform one step at a time." Repeat these counter-statements whenever the original thought appears. This trains the mind to default to reasoned responses rather than spiraling into negativity. Cultivate awareness of triggers. Observe what situations, people, or topics ignite negative thinking. Awareness allows preemptive preparation and reduces reactive energy. Before entering a triggering environment, create a micro-plan. Decide how you will notice negative thoughts, how you will interrupt them, and what immediate action or refocus strategy you will employ. Incorporate physical anchors to complement mental work, breath work, posture adjustments, and short movement routines. Signal the nervous system that attention is being intentionally guided. For example, standing tall and taking 3 deep diaphragmatic breaths before a stressful conversation primes the body to handle discomfort rather than react with panic. Reinforce mental strength through micro-challenges. Choose small tasks that provoke slight anxiety or self-doubt and execute them deliberately. Each success builds evidence against negative beliefs and accumulates resilience. Keep a clear record of these victories and review them weekly. This creates a visible trail of capability that the mind can draw upon when larger fears arise. Avoid overexposure to negative inputs in media or conversations. Limit engagement with content that emphasizes fear, scarcity, or failure. Instead, actively consume material that encourages problem-solving, calm reasoning, and balanced perspectives. Feeding the mind constructive input fortifies defenses against automatic negativity. Strengthen self-talk through a daily affirmation and reflection routine. Identify 3 truths about yourself supported by experience or measurable progress. Speak them aloud and write them down. Internal repetition anchors confidence and reduces susceptibility to negative thought hijacking. Integrate reflection on mistakes and failures as data rather than judgment. Analyze what went wrong, what could be improved, and how the lesson will be applied in the future. This approach transforms negative events from sources of rumination into tools for growth. Build a habit of pausing before reacting to negative thought. Insert a deliberate 2-second gap to observe, name, and assess the thought before responding. This creates a cognitive buffer that interrupts automatic fear or doubt spirals. Engage in intentional perspective shift. Ask yourself how a mentor, coach, or admired figure would view the same situation. Mentally step outside personal bias and consider what an objective analysis would reveal. This externalization often neutralizes exaggerated self-criticism. Pair mental exercises with consistent physical routine. Daily movement, sufficient sleep, and proper nutrition are not just health practices, they directly affect cognitive clarity and emotional regulation. A mind deprived of energy or balance magnifies negative patterns. Establish a daily wind-down ritual that signals closure of the day's mental activity. This can include writing 3 positive actions taken, noting 1 lesson learned, and setting 1 clear step for tomorrow. Closing the day with structured reflection strengthens the mental habit of observation, assessment, and planning, reducing unconscious rumination. Utilize accountability strategically. Share progress on thought management with one trusted individual or mentor. Articulate one specific challenge, your response, and the result. Feedback and social friction against avoidance. Heighten commitment. Practice gratitude as a structural component of thought training. Each day, identify 3 objective facts that went well or were completed successfully. Focusing attention on evidence of competence and favorable outcomes balances the mind and diminishes negative thought dominance. Introduce mindfulness exercises to deepen awareness. Short periods of focused attention on breath or simple sensory experiences train the mind to observe without judgment, reducing automatic identification with negative patterns. Recognize that negative thoughts will not vanish completely. The goal is not eradication but mastery. Shifting from reactive entanglement to deliberate engagement. Every instance of noticing, questioning, and responding represents progress. Reinforce progress by periodically reviewing journal entries of tracked thoughts and corresponding action. Observe patterns, celebrate changes in perspective, and refine strategies for persistent or emerging thoughts. Treat the mind as a laboratory. Experiment with techniques, note outcomes, and adjust approaches. Approach challenges with curiosity rather than fear. Each thought examined and addressed strengthens mental muscles and enhances resilience. Over time, the accumulation of small, deliberate actions transforms the mental landscape. Thoughts that once felt overwhelming become signals to test reality, adjust strategy, and act decisive. The practice of challenging negative thoughts cultivates a mind capable of observing fear and doubt without surrendering to them, building steady confidence and resilience that extends into all areas of life. Engaging consistently with these techniques creates not only immediate relief from paralyzing negativity, but also long-term adaptability and mental toughness. Consistency and reflection convert isolated exercises into a sustainable mindset. The mind becomes a tool directed intentionally rather than a reactive system ruled by fear. Each day's work compounds, producing measurable improvement in emotional regulation, clarity of action, and personal growth. Over time, confronting and restructuring negative thoughts strengthens the capacity to face fear, doubt, and uncertainty with calm, reasoned, and decisive action. This daily discipline reshapes the inner dialogue into a source of strength rather than limitation, creating a life where fear and doubt exist only as temporary signals that guide preparation, learning, and courageous movement forward. Chapter 3. Visualize success constantly to replace doubt with confidence. Confidence is not born from luck or innate talent. It is cultivated deliberately through repeated mental rehearsal and focus. Visualization is a tool that transforms abstract hopes into tangible expectations and creates a blueprint for action. The mind cannot distinguish vividly imagined experiences from real ones when engagement is complete and detailed. By visualizing success consistently, the brain begins to align thought patterns, emotional responses, and behaviors toward achieving the imagined outcome. Begin by choosing one specific goal. Do not make it vague. If the goal is to improve public speaking, imagine delivering a precise speech with clarity and impact. If the goal is to complete a project under tight deadlines, visualize each step completed efficiently and with composure. Engage all senses in the process. See the environment clearly, hear the words spoken or the sound of typing. Feel the posture, the temperature of the room, the texture of objects in your hands. Smell and taste if applicable. Detailed sensory engagement grounds the visualization in reality and strengthens neural pathways that later influence actual performance. Set aside time daily for uninterrupted visualization. Start with 5 to 10 minutes and gradually expand. Position the body in a state of alert calm. Sit upright or stand tall. Focused posture enhances alertness and makes the visualization more effective. Close the eyes to eliminate distraction and bring the mind entirely into the constructed scene. Begin with the end state and then work backward. Picture the completed achievement first, then imagine the steps necessary to reach it. Walking through each stage mentally prepares the brain to recognize and act upon opportunities in reality. Include potential obstacles in your visualization and rehearse responses to them. Imagine challenges that could arise and mentally apply solutions. This preemptive rehearsal reduces fear and hesitation when unexpected difficulties occur. Integrate emotional intensity into the visualization. Imagine the satisfaction, pride, and relief of accomplishing the goal. Feel the confidence flowing through the body, steadying the mind. Emotional engagement makes the visualization more potent and creates motivation that carries into real-world action. Record the visualization with verbal narration or journaling. Speaking the steps aloud or writing them down clarifies the process and provides an additional layer of neural reinforcement. Describe every action, reaction, and result in concrete terms. This creates a living roadmap that the brain can internalize. Link visualization to daily behaviors. Each day identify one small action aligned with the imagined success and perform it deliberately. If the visualization involves effective communication, practice clear sentences or gestures in actual interactions. If it involves fitness, execute specific exercises as rehearsed mentally. This alignment between mind rehearsal and physical practice accelerates skill acquisition and confidence. Monitor internal dialogue during visualization. Replace any doubt or negative predictions immediately with confident and action-oriented thoughts. Mentally rehearse correcting mistakes calmly and proceeding efficiently. Training the mind to navigate setbacks during visualization removes paralysis in real situations. Expand visualization to social interactions and environmental factors. Imagine handling unexpected questions, resistance, or criticism with composure. Anticipate interruptions or distractions and mentally navigate them without losing focus. This prepares the mind for resilience under pressure. Review past achievements within visualization. Integrate moments where prior effort produced results. Linking prior successes to the present imagined scenario reinforces belief in competence and strengthens the mental template for success. Create a visual anchor or cue to trigger confidence outside formal practice. A hand gesture, a focused breath, or a short phrase can recall the mental state experienced during visualization and apply it in moments of doubt. Measure progress by comparing imagined performance with real-world execution. Observe discrepancies and refine visualization to address gaps. The feedback loop ensures continuous improvement and strengthens the connection between mental rehearsal and tangible results. Combine visualization with affirmations that are concrete and specific. Instead of vague statements like "I am successful," focus on "I communicate my ideas clearly and effectively during this meeting." Specific language directs the mind toward actionable behaviors rather than passive belief. Involve anticipation of positive external feedback. Imagine colleagues, mentors, or clients responding favorably. Seeing supportive responses prepares the brain to recognize opportunities for reinforcement and builds confidence in social contexts. Avoid passive daydreaming. Visualization requires concentration, intention, and structured rehearsal. Treat each session as a mental exercise with measurable focus and engagement. Over time, the practice reduces hesitation and uncertainty because the brain has rehearsed success repeatedly and learned to respond with composure and efficiency. Reinforce visualization through reflection. After taking real-world steps toward the goal, review actions and outcomes. Compare them with imagined scenarios and note improvements or adjustments needed. This reflection strengthens mental adaptability and refines visualization for future challenges. Incorporate physical sensations into the rehearsal. Notice posture, breathing, and subtle muscle engagement. The combination of mind and body rehearsal enhances preparedness and reduces stress responses. Visualization should evolve continuously. Adjust scenarios to reflect changing goals, increasing complexity, and emerging opportunities. Dynamic rehearsal ensures relevance and maximizes the mental investment. Practice mental contrast. Visualize both success and obstacles, then reinforce commitment to action. Recognize potential failure as a challenge to overcome, not a reason to retreat. This mental juxtaposition creates resilience and sharpens problem solving. Integrate visualization into pre-performance routine. Before presentations, interviews, workouts, or important tasks, take a short period to run through the scenario mentally. This primes focus, reduces nervousness, and increases readiness. Avoid comparison to others during visualization. Focus on personal skill development and mastery. The practice is about internal preparation and alignment with individual goals, not external validation. Build a cumulative record of visualizations. Keep a journal or mental log of sessions, progress, and insights. Tracking growth enhances motivation and provides evidence of increasing competence. Engage visualization during transition times. Walking, commuting, or waiting periods can be utilized for brief rehearsals, maintaining consistency and reinforcing mental patterns. Surround yourself with environmental cues that reinforce visualization. Images, notes, or reminders of goals anchor the mind and maintain clarity of intention throughout daily routines. Treat visualization as a non-negotiable habit. Daily practice compounds, producing noticeable changes in confidence, focus, and performance over weeks. Accept that initial sessions may feel awkward or ineffective. Consistency, attention to detail, and commitment transform repetition into mastery. Visualization bridges imagination and reality. It creates mental familiarity with challenges, reduces fear, and strengthens readiness. Over time, the repeated rehearsal of desired outcomes rewires neural pathways, ensuring that when opportunity arises, the mind and body act with confidence, decisiveness, and poise. Every session builds courage, reduces uncertainty, and prepares the individual to face complex situations with clarity and strength. Success becomes not a chance event, but a result of deliberate preparation, mental conditioning, and persistent engagement with the mind's capacity to simulate and achieve. By visualizing success constantly, doubt loses its grip and confidence becomes an automatic response to challenge, turning aspiration into measurable achievement and daily progress into an unstoppable force. Chapter 4. Embrace discomfort regularly to grow beyond your limits. Growth does not occur in comfort. The human mind and body are designed to expand when challenged by conditions that feel unfamiliar or uncomfortable. Embracing discomfort is the key to unlocking hidden potential and pushing past the invisible boundaries that fear and habit have constructed. Discomfort is a signal, not an enemy. It shows where improvement is possible and where strength can be cultivated. Begin by identifying areas in daily life where avoidance has become routine. Small habitual choices often dictate long-term capability. Sitting in a quiet moment and writing down moments when tension, resistance, or unease arises illuminates where growth opportunities exist. Once identified, approach these situations deliberately rather than escaping them. For example, if public speaking induces anxiety, schedule brief moments to speak in front of small groups, friends, or even a mirror. Repeat the action consistently, noting physiological and emotional responses, and adjust incrementally. Start small, but ensure consistent exposure to discomfort. Each encounter, however minor, rewires the mind to tolerate and eventually thrive under challenging conditions. Incorporate micro-challenges into daily routines. Take cold showers, wake earlier than usual, or initiate conversations with strangers. Each action strengthens resolve, teaches adaptation, and rewires perception. Physical challenge and mental challenge are interconnected. Exposing the body to controlled stress enhances the mind's ability to endure psychological pressure. Push boundaries with incremental progression. Avoid leaps that provoke panic. Incremental escalation allows the nervous system to adapt safely and reduces risk of burnout. Document each encounter. Record feelings, observations, and adjustments. Reviewing this record over weeks reveals measurable progress and reinforces belief in capacity. Confront internal resistance directly. When avoidance urges appear, pause and acknowledge the sensation. Name it. I feel discomfort because this is unfamiliar. Naming the sensation reduces its intensity and separates observation from reaction. Integrate deliberate breathing and posture control. Deep diaphragmatic breaths combined with erect posture signal preparedness and calm to the nervous system. When discomfort is encountered, these physiological anchors prevent overwhelm and maintain clarity. Reframe setbacks as experiments. Discomfort often produces errors, awkwardness, or temporary failure. Approach these moments as data, not judgment. Ask, what can I learn from this? Each misstep is feedback that accelerates growth. Embrace a mindset of curiosity. Treat each challenging moment as a classroom where the lesson is resilience. Cultivate mental agility by imagining multiple outcomes and responses before entering uncomfortable situations. Mental rehearsal prepares the brain for real-life execution and reduces anxiety. Build a network of accountability. Share progress in discomfort-facing exercises with a trusted peer or mentor. External observation increases commitment and reduces the likelihood of avoidance. Pair physical conditioning with mental exposure. Strength training, running, or high-intensity movement stresses the body in a controlled way, teaching the mind how to respond to discomfort calmly. Combine physical challenge with mental intention. Each repetition, each stride is an act of deliberate discomfort faced and mastered. Schedule recurring discomfort sessions. Treat them as non-negotiable commitments rather than optional exercises. Consistency transforms temporary courage into habitual strength. Reflect daily on experiences. Write the exact moment discomfort arose, the reaction, and the result of engagement. Small daily notes compound into a comprehensive record of resilience. Use sensory anchoring to maintain focus under strain. Noticing sounds, textures, temperature, and physical sensations in challenging situations keeps attention grounded and prevents rumination or panic. Pair discomfort with visualization. Imagine executing the task with composure, skill, and focus. Include obstacles, mistakes, and solutions. Rehearsal reinforces adaptability and increases confidence. Introduce timed challenges. Place limits on the duration of exposure to discomfort initially and expand over time. Measurable progress prevents overwhelm and structures growth. Avoid over-identification with pain. Recognize that discomfort is temporary, a signal of engagement, not a measure of value or competence. Each encounter strengthens tolerance and redefines personal boundaries. Integrate reflection on physiological responses. Monitor heart rate, breathing patterns, and tension levels during challenging tasks. Observe changes over time as evidence of adaptation and mastery. Practice controlled withdrawal. Know when to step back, reflect, and recover. Strategic pause allows integration of lessons and prevents counterproductive strain. Celebrate incremental victory. Recognizing successful navigation of discomfort reinforces neural pathways associated with courage, perseverance, and mastery. Gradually combine multiple discomforts. For example, pair speaking in front of others with cold exposure or physical exertion. Layering challenges builds complex resilience. Embrace uncertainty as part of discomfort. Situations that lack full control amplify learning and adaptability. Develop mental scripts for anticipation. Prepare phrases, strategies, or postures that reduce hesitation when discomfort arises. Introduce environmental manipulation. Alter routines, locations, or schedules to remove predictability. Familiarity breeds comfort. Intentional change stimulates growth. Engage in social discomfort intentionally. Seek conversations, collaborations, or negotiations that feel intimidating. Social resilience is critical for professional and personal expansion. Maintain a log of lessons. For each discomfort faced, identify one insight about capability, reaction, or opportunity for improvement. Repeated documentation trains reflection and self-awareness. Practice gratitude for challenge. Recognizing that discomfort is a tool for growth shifts mindset from avoidance to opportunity. Anchor progress in measurable terms. Record repetitions, duration, or scope of discomfort faced. Objective metrics reinforce subjective perception of strength. Apply discomfort to cognitive tasks. Challenge the mind with puzzles, new skills, or unfamiliar topics. Mental stretch complements physical and emotional resilience. Limit exposure to excessive comfort. Overindulgence dulls tolerance and reduces capacity for challenge. Design daily routines that include deliberate tension or difficulty. Align discomfort practices with long-term goals. Each small encounter builds cumulative skill toward greater objectives. Integrate mindfulness. Observing sensations, thoughts, and emotions without attachment during discomfort increases tolerance and clarity. Combine reflection with actionable adjustments. Each session should produce insight that informs the next encounter. Seek feedback. Active, constructive input from mentors or peers accelerates adaptation and highlights blind spots. Approach discomfort with a professional mindset. Treat each session as a deliberate experiment designed to strengthen capability. Over time, discomfort becomes familiar rather than frightening. Resistance decreases and confidence rises. The nervous system and mind recalibrate to interpret challenging situations as opportunities rather than threats. Progress compounds. Each day of engaging with discomfort lays a foundation for more complex challenges. Courage is strengthened, judgment improves, and fear loses dominance. Discomfort is no longer a barrier, but a teacher, signaling where attention, effort, and adaptation are required. Through consistent practice, discipline, and reflection, the mind and body evolve to operate beyond previous limits, creating a life where challenges provoke engagement instead of avoidance, and growth becomes the natural outcome of every uncomfortable step taken intentionally.
Chapter 5. Question: limiting beliefs to unlock your true potential. Beliefs are powerful forces that shape perception, behavior, and results, yet most people never examine whether their beliefs serve them or limit them. Limiting beliefs quietly dictate decisions, restrict growth, and keep potential locked behind invisible walls. Questioning these beliefs is the gateway to personal freedom and authentic achievement. Begin by identifying beliefs that feel constraining. Listen closely to internal statements that appear automatically. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. People like me don't succeed. Record them in writing. Seeing them outside the mind transforms vague discomfort into tangible concepts that can be analyzed. Each belief should be isolated and articulated as a clear declarative sentence. Avoid blending multiple thoughts into one. Clarity is critical for investigation. Once identified, examine the origin of each belief. Ask yourself when and how this belief formed. Was it inherited from family, peers, or societal expectations? Was it the result of a single past failure? Understanding origin reveals whether the belief is grounded in enduring truth or outdated circumstance. Next, test the evidence supporting the belief. Search for real examples that prove or disprove it. If a belief says you cannot achieve a certain goal, find counterexamples, people who have succeeded in similar circumstances, including yourself in past moments of accomplishment. Often, the belief collapses under scrutiny. Then analyze the consequences of holding the belief. What opportunities have been avoided because of it? What risks were never taken? What progress was delayed? This evaluation makes the cost of belief tangible and motivates change. Replace unhelpful beliefs with constructive alternatives. Formulate statements that reflect capability, potential, and adaptability. I can learn the skills required to achieve this goal. I am capable of overcoming obstacles through effort and preparation. Write these statements down and repeat them deliberately. Pair repetition with action to reinforce credibility. Simply reciting affirmations without corresponding effort has minimal effect. Beliefs are strengthened through experience. Design experiments to challenge limiting beliefs. If the belief is I cannot lead effectively, create situations where leadership can be practiced safely. Observe results, reflect honestly, and refine. Small wins dismantle doubt faster than theoretical reasoning alone. Track progress systematically. Maintain a journal of beliefs challenged, actions taken, outcomes observed, and emotional responses experienced. Reviewing this record over time provides objective proof of capability and gradually erodes automatic negative assumptions. Introduce critical questioning into daily thinking. Each time a limiting thought arises, ask, is this true? Can I prove it? Beyond my mind's assumptions. Is there an alternative interpretation? Who benefits if I accept this belief, and who suffers? These questions disrupt automatic acceptance and promote conscious evaluation. Strengthen mental flexibility by exposing yourself to new ideas, perspectives, and challenges. Limiting beliefs often thrive in static environments where information and experience are narrow. Reading, learning from diverse mentors, and engaging in unfamiliar tasks expands the reference points available to the mind, making rigid beliefs less convincing. Cultivate a growth-oriented dialogue internally. Replace absolute terms like never, always, cannot with conditional, specific, and actionable language. I have not mastered this yet becomes more productive than I cannot do this. Incremental language opens the mind to possibility rather than freezing it in limitation. Practice mental contrast. Visualize achieving the desired outcome while acknowledging potential obstacles. Identifying barriers consciously allows preparation and builds confidence in overcoming them. Linking visualization with active challenge creates proof that new beliefs are viable. Embrace discomfort as a tool for testing beliefs. Seek opportunities that provoke slight anxiety or hesitation. Engaging in challenging but manageable actions confronts assumptions directly. Each successful engagement strengthens alternative beliefs and rewires habitual thinking. Integrate reflection on failure as data rather than proof of limitation. Analyze mistakes methodically, what went wrong, what could have been done differently, and what was learned. Recognizing that errors are natural feedback rather than identity statements prevents reinforcement of negative beliefs. Surround yourself with reinforcing influences. Engage with people who exemplify growth, courage, and disciplined effort. Exposure to examples of belief expansion provides a living template and shifts the mind from limiting assumptions to practical demonstration. Implement accountability systems. Share a single measurable step toward challenging a belief with a mentor, coach, or peer. Knowing that someone else is aware of your action increases follow-through and reduces avoidance. Measure progress through objective indicators. Track skills acquired, challenges completed, and tangible results achieved. Concrete evidence strengthens new beliefs and diminishes the old ones. Reinforce change through daily repetition. Each morning and evening, review beliefs you intend to strengthen. Visualize yourself acting in alignment with these beliefs, imagining success and composure. Embody the belief physically and mentally to deepen neural imprint. Combine cognitive restructuring with sensory engagement. When practicing an alternative belief, notice body posture, breath, and attention. Full embodiment signals authenticity to the mind, accelerating belief integration. Recognize that questioning beliefs is ongoing. As circumstances, goals, and abilities evolve, old assumptions may resurface. Maintain vigilance and deliberate evaluation. Each new situation is an opportunity to test assumptions and refine mental models. Introduce mental anchors that remind you of capability during stressful situations. Short phrases, gestures, or objects associated with past successes can trigger belief in potential when doubt arises. Maintain a balance between skepticism and possibility. Do not replace limiting beliefs with unrealistic optimism. Instead, adopt evidence-based confidence grounded in preparation, skill, and perseverance. Incorporate strategic exposure to tasks slightly beyond current capacity. Stretching ability gradually proves to the mind that old limitations were inaccurate. Document incremental improvements and recognize cumulative gains over time. Engage in scenario rehearsal. Mentally simulate challenges and execute steps aligned with new beliefs. Anticipating outcomes and solutions increases readiness and diminishes fear of failure. Integrate mindfulness to observe thoughts as they arise without attachment. Awareness of limiting beliefs in real time prevents automatic acceptance and allows deliberate response. Build a library of reference points. Record past experiences, role models, and achievements that contradict negative assumptions. Review this evidence periodically to reinforce perspective and capability. Accept that discomfort, uncertainty, and mistakes are inherent in the growth process. Challenging beliefs requires persistence, patience, and repeated engagement. Over time, the accumulation of deliberate questioning, practical testing, and reflection transforms internal narratives from restrictive scripts into empowering frameworks. Beliefs that once dictated inaction become flexible tools guiding exploration, risk-taking, and achievement. By consistently evaluating assumptions, experimenting with new actions, and documenting results, the mind learns to treat limitations as optional rather than inevitable. The process creates resilience, clarity, and self-directed momentum, ensuring that fear and doubt are no longer the architects of choice. Daily practice transforms passive mental patterns into active, intentional strategies for success, unlocking potential previously obscured by unquestioned assumptions and paving the way for consistent, measurable growth across all areas of life.
Chapter 6. Practice decisive action to silence hesitation and uncertainty. Action is the antidote to hesitation. The moment thought becomes indecision, fear and doubt take root, immobilizing potential. Practicing decisive action is not about reckless impulsivity. It is about training the mind to move intentionally and rapidly when clarity is sufficient. Begin by recognizing hesitation as a signal, not a verdict. Awareness of indecision allows you to intervene before delay solidifies into avoidance. Whenever a choice presents itself, pause for a brief assessment, no more than 30 seconds, and identify the single next step that moves progress forward. Clarity is rarely perfect, but waiting for certainty ensures stagnation. Commit to executing the step immediately, no matter how small. Each action, even minimal, trains the nervous system to value momentum over fear. Break tasks into bite-sized components. Large decisions often paralyze because they appear insurmountable. By reducing the scope to an actionable item, the mind can engage without feeling overwhelmed. For example, if launching a project feels daunting, identify the very first email, call or outline that can be sent today. Completion of this micro-action triggers confidence and diminishes the psychological weight of the larger goal. Pair action with observation. Take note of the result of each step and the response it generates. Reflection after execution allows refinement and prevents repetition of ineffective patterns. This observation builds trust in judgment and strengthens decision-making muscles. Introduce time-bound challenges to accelerate decisiveness. Give yourself a fixed period to choose and act. Deadlines create necessary pressure that reduces endless rumination. Practice choosing quickly in low-risk scenarios. Daily life offers countless micro-decisions that can be executed without major consequences. Intentionally select, act, and observe the result. Over time, this trains the mind to move efficiently when stakes are higher. Use the 80-10-20 principle. Recognize that most decisions do not require exhaustive analysis. Identify key factors that influence outcome and act when sufficient information is available. Over-analysis often masquerades as thoroughness. Decisive action requires discernment and trust in judgment. Accept imperfection as part of the process. Action does not demand flawless planning. Movement itself provides information and shapes reality. Hesitation often seeks impossible certainty. Decisive action thrives on adaptive clarity. Develop a system to prioritize choices. Categorize decisions by urgency and impact. Address high-impact, time-sensitive tasks first to reinforce the habit of acting when it matters most. Smaller, less critical actions should follow, preventing fatigue and preserving mental energy for meaningful engagement. Cultivate a bias for doing rather than delaying. Each time hesitation arises, mentally rehearse the consequences of inaction. Compare the cost of waiting with the potential gain from immediate execution. This cognitive exercise emphasizes the advantage of moving forward. Pair decisive action with accountability structures. Share intentions and follow-ups with a trusted mentor, peer, or team member. External visibility increases commitment and reduces the likelihood of postponement. Recognize patterns of avoidance. Track situations where hesitation is strongest and identify triggers. Understanding psychological resistance allows targeted action planning and preemptive strategies to counter delay. Incorporate physical cues to reinforce decisiveness. Standing tall, taking a deep breath, and shifting posture signals readiness to act and primes the nervous system for engagement. Practice rapid evaluation and selection in increasingly complex scenarios. Start with simple choices and progressively handle more critical decisions. Each success expands confidence and strengthens the capacity to act under pressure. Build rituals that cue immediate action. Morning routines, pre-task micro-actions, or physical cues signal the brain to transition from thought to execution. Structured initiation reduces internal friction and eliminates excuses. Leverage small victories to reinforce the habit loop. Completing even minor actions decisively provides immediate feedback and motivates further engagement. Over time, the accumulation of micro-successes creates momentum that reduces hesitation naturally. Adopt reflective pauses strategically after action. Rather than prolonging decision-making, review results post-execution, extract insights, and apply lessons to future steps. This separates learning from delay and ensures continuous improvement. Embrace uncertainty as a feature of action. Waiting for perfect clarity is an illusion. Decisive individuals accept partial information and move forward, adjusting as reality unfolds. Train the mind to tolerate ambiguity while maintaining progress. Introduce deliberate experiments. Set up situations where quick decisions are required under controlled conditions. Analyze outcomes and refine intuition. This experiential learning accelerates confidence in judgment and reduces reliance on overthinking. Integrate visualization of successful action. Mentally rehearse choosing and executing steps with composure and effectiveness. Rehearsal primes behavior and reduces the shock of real-world execution. Establish a feedback loop. Document actions, reactions, and outcomes systematically. Reviewing this record highlights patterns, identifies strengths, and pinpoints areas for improvement. Feedback transforms experience into skill. Pair action with mental anchors. Short phrases, gestures, or reminders can cue decisiveness when doubt emerges. Conditioning these triggers strengthens the mind-body link between intention and execution. Recognize that inaction is cumulative in its harm. Each avoided choice reinforces fear and uncertainty. Regular practice of decisiveness disrupts this pattern and replaces it with proactive momentum. Combine mental clarity, physical readiness, and structured reflection. Each action should be intentional, informed by key facts, and executed with awareness. Post-action review ensures learning and continuous adaptation. Maintain a daily commitment to at least one decisive step, no matter how small. Consistency compounds over time, building a robust pattern of execution that becomes habitual rather than exceptional. Address internal dialogue that justifies delay. Whenever excuses arise, identify them explicitly and counter with evidence of past successful decisions and immediate action possibilities. Train the mind to recognize rationalizations and replace them with movement-oriented reasoning. Use environmental structuring to reduce friction. Arrange tools, schedules, and spaces to facilitate immediate action. Physical readiness reduces cognitive load and increases the likelihood of prompt execution. Incorporate social support strategically. Engage peers who model decisiveness and seek mutual reinforcement.
Observing action in others reinforces internal drive and establishes behavioral benchmarks. Recognize the difference between decisive action and impulsivity. The former is measured, informed, and adaptive. The latter is reactive and unplanned. Cultivate discernment while maintaining a bias for doing. Apply decisive action across life domains. Small everyday decisions, professional choices, and personal commitments all benefit from practice. Consistency in action strengthens overall confidence and resilience. Reflect on compounded effects. Over weeks and months, repeated decisive steps transform patterns of hesitation into a default mode of engagement. The mind begins to associate choice with progress, and fear loses dominance. Embrace the philosophy that execution teaches clarity. Action clarifies priorities, reveals obstacles, and provides the data necessary for intelligent adjustment. Hesitation delays learning. Movement accelerates mastery. Develop an internal metric for progress. Track frequency and quality of decisive steps taken. Use this metric to motivate further action and to visualize improvement. Recognize that the combination of preparation, courage, and immediate movement is more powerful than perfect planning or endless contemplation. By consistently practicing decisive action, hesitation becomes rare, doubt loses power, and the mind trains itself to respond to challenges with precision, speed, and confidence. This daily discipline transforms uncertainty into opportunity, creating a life defined by deliberate progress rather than paralyzed potential.
Chapter 7. Focus on small wins to build unstoppable momentum. Progress is rarely instantaneous, and grand transformations often feel unreachable. Focusing on small wins creates a foundation for consistent growth and builds momentum that becomes unstoppable over time. Small wins are the measurable actions, the tiny victories that accumulate to produce substantial outcomes. Begin by identifying the smallest possible steps toward a goal. If the objective is improving health, it could be drinking one extra glass of water, walking for 10 minutes, or preparing a single nutritious meal. If the target is productivity, completing one task that has been postponed can serve as a win. The key is that each action is intentional, achievable, and aligned with broader objectives. Recognize the psychological impact of completing even modest tasks. Each success activates motivation and reinforces belief in capability. The mind begins to associate action with reward, diminishing procrastination and doubt. Document small wins daily. Writing them down creates a visual record of progress, making abstract effort tangible. Reflection on these wins builds confidence and encourages consistency. Use incremental challenges to sustain growth. Once a small win is achieved, slightly elevate the difficulty to stretch capacity without overwhelming. For example, after consistently walking 10 minutes daily, increase to 15 minutes. Incremental escalation prevents stagnation and gradually expands what is perceived as possible. Pair small wins with deliberate feedback. Assess what worked, what was challenging, and how it contributed to the broader goal. This process transforms routine action into active learning. Celebrate achievements, no matter how minor. Recognition of effort strengthens neural pathways associated with motivation and self-efficacy. Avoid discounting small victories. They are the bricks upon which larger accomplishments are built. Sequence tasks to maximize momentum. Start with actions that are easily achievable to create immediate confidence and energy. Follow with moderately challenging tasks, using the energy generated to tackle higher difficulty objectives. This deliberate sequencing cultivates flow and reduces mental resistance. Align small wins with long-term vision. Each micro-action should contribute meaningfully to overarching goals. This alignment ensures that consistent effort is purposeful and prevents wasted energy. Introduce accountability to reinforce consistency. Share intentions
and progress with a trusted partner, mentor, or peer. External tracking increases commitment and reinforces the habit of taking deliberate steps. Visualize the compound effect of cumulative small wins. Imagine months of daily victories stacking to produce substantial achievement. Visualization amplifies motivation and strengthens the connection between action and outcome. Break complex goals into sequences of small wins. Large objectives can feel abstract and intimidating. By dissecting them into actionable units, progress becomes measurable and manageable. Leverage habit formation. Repeating small wins consistently embeds them into daily routines, transforming effort into automatic execution and reducing reliance on motivation alone. Track improvements quantitatively where possible. Metrics provide objective evidence of progress, enhance accountability, and motivate continuation. Pair small wins with reflection on challenges. Recognize obstacles that were overcome to achieve each victory. This reinforces resilience and highlights strategies for future situations. Integrate sensory and emotional awareness into each win. Notice the satisfaction, relief, and pride associated with completing tasks. Emotional reinforcement strengthens the habit loop and increases the likelihood of repetition. Use small wins to tackle fear and doubt. Each completed action diminishes the power of hesitation by providing proof of competence. Momentum grows as the brain internalizes success. Maintain consistency in effort rather than intensity. Regular sustainable progress outweighs sporadic bursts of achievement. Focus on continuity to harness compounding effects. Apply small wins to personal development. Read a few pages daily, practice a short mindfulness exercise, or complete a single skill-focused task. These minor actions accumulate into substantial improvement over time. Avoid comparison with others. Progress is personal, and small wins are relative to individual goals and context. Focus on internal benchmarks to maintain clarity and motivation. Reinforce small wins with visualization of broader goals. Each tiny achievement can be linked mentally to the final outcome, creating a bridge between immediate effort and long-term aspiration. Use micro deadlines to structure action. Even a brief time constraint encourages prompt execution and reduces procrastination. Recognize patterns where small wins have the greatest impact. Certain habits, tasks, or contexts may produce disproportionately positive effects on momentum. Prioritize these for repeated focus. Integrate deliberate sequencing of wins across life domains. Balance between professional, personal, and health-related victories ensures holistic growth and prevents burnout. Introduce gamification to maintain engagement. Reward progress in ways that reinforce action and provide motivation for continued effort. Leverage social reinforcement. Share minor achievements with supportive communities to amplify motivation and normalize growth-focused behavior. Reflect periodically on accumulated wins. Observing the aggregate impact strengthens belief in the effectiveness of small, consistent effort and motivates continued practice. Cultivate patience alongside action. Small wins require time to compound. Trusting the process develops resilience and prevents discouragement when immediate results are not visible. Pair small wins with proactive adaptation. Adjust strategies based on outcomes, reinforcing learning and optimizing future performance. Incorporate deliberate variation. Occasionally introduce new small challenges to maintain engagement, expand skill sets, and prevent plateauing. Recognize that failure in a small action is still informative. Analyze what went wrong. Adjust and repeat. Learning from minor setbacks maintains momentum without derailing confidence. Track emotional responses to win. Notice feelings of pride, excitement, or relief, and use these sensations as motivation for subsequent action. Reinforce identity through small wins. Each success signals competence, and strengthens the self-concept as someone capable of achieving goals. Combine reflection, adaptation, and consistent execution to generate continuous growth. The cumulative effect of repeated small wins builds confidence, reduces doubt, and produces a psychological state where action becomes natural and hesitation diminishes. Over time, the aggregation of small wins creates unstoppable momentum, turning what once felt impossible into achievable reality. Every step, no matter how minor, contributes to an accelerating cycle of accomplishment, resilience, and personal power that transforms fear and doubt into tangible, measurable progress.
Chapter 8. Develop self-awareness to understand your fears deeply. Fear is rarely a random visitor. It is a signal, a reflection of internal patterns, beliefs, and experiences that shape perception of the world. Understanding fear requires turning attention inward, examining the mind without judgment, and uncovering the root causes that drive avoidance and hesitation. Developing self-awareness is the cornerstone of this process, because you cannot address what you do not recognize. Begin by observing physical sensations when fear arises. Notice tension in the body, rapid heartbeat, shallow breathing, or tight muscles. These are not weaknesses, but messages from the nervous system highlighting areas that demand attention. Paying attention to bodily reactions provides objective data about how fear manifests in your daily life. Next, track emotional patterns. Fear often comes paired with thoughts of inadequacy, self-doubt, or anticipation of negative outcomes. Record these thoughts and note the situations that trigger them. Journaling creates a concrete map of internal responses, revealing patterns that may have been invisible before. Recognize recurring themes. Certain fears appear repeatedly in professional, social, or personal contexts. Identifying the common thread allows deeper exploration of the beliefs or experiences sustaining them. Challenge assumptions attached to fear by asking clear questions. Is this fear based on fact, perception, or past conditioning? What evidence supports it? What evidence contradicts it? This analytical approach distinguishes rational caution from limiting anxiety. Explore the origins of fears systematically. Many fears originate in childhood experiences, cultural messaging, or repeated negative outcomes. Tracing back to the source provides perspective and reduces the emotional intensity of present reactions. Combine observation with reflection. Notice how fear influences behavior, decision-making, and relationship. Awareness of impact strengthens motivation to act consciously rather than reactively. Develop an inner dialogue that is curious rather than critical. Approach fears as phenomena to understand, not as judgments about character. Ask, what is this fear trying to protect me from? What lesson might it contain? Self-awareness grows when curiosity replaces self-condemnation. Introduce daily mindfulness practice. Set aside moments to sit quietly. Observe breath, thoughts, and bodily sensations, and notice fear without attempting to suppress it. This disciplined attention trains the mind to witness fear objectively. Pair mindfulness with exposure. Gradually confront situations that provoke discomfort while maintaining observation. Each encounter produces data about responses and capabilities, enhancing understanding and diminishing automatic avoidance. Create a fear inventory. List specific fears and rate intensity, frequency, and impact on life. Prioritize fears that limit growth most severely. Having a structured reference clarifies where action is most necessary. Examine cognitive biases associated with fear. Notice patterns of catastrophic thinking, overgeneralization, or underestimation of ability. Awareness of these biases allows deliberate correction and more accurate evaluation of risk. Incorporate reflective questioning. After facing a fearful situation, ask, what did I feel? What did I think? What was my physical reaction? What choice did I make? What can I learn from this? Systematic inquiry converts experience into insight,
Engage in scenario analysis. Imagine feared outcomes and work through realistic responses. Anticipating challenges while remaining grounded reduces intensity and prepares the mind for practical action. Build emotional vocabulary. Label sensations and feelings precisely, distinguishing anxiety, apprehension, or nervous anticipation. Enhances understanding and prevents undifferentiated emotional overwhelm. Monitor triggers in real time. Throughout daily life, notice what sparks tension, hesitation, or avoidance. Immediate recognition enables intervention before fear dominates action. Pair self-awareness with deliberate reflection on strength. Recognize instances where fear was confronted successfully, highlighting resilience and adaptive capacity. Tracking success reinforces confidence and balances attention on challenges. Observe thought patterns objectively. Identify automatic narratives that amplify fear. I cannot do this, I will fail, or this is danger. Awareness of these mental scripts allows intentional replacement with accurate, constructive perspectives. Practice detachment from fear. Realize that fear is an experience, not identity. Distinguishing self from sensation reduces internal pressure and increases capacity for deliberate choice. Use journaling to explore depth. Write about sensations, beliefs, and emotional reactions to fear-provoking events. Over time, patterns emerge that reveal underlying constraints and opportunities for growth. Integrate feedback from trusted observers. Others often perceive reactions and tendencies more objectively. Seek insight from mentors, coaches, or peers who can illuminate blind spots and provide perspective. Develop a routine of reflection after challenge. Each day, review situations that elicited fear. Analyze responses and note improvements or areas for attention. Structured review consolidates learning and strengthens self-awareness. Incorporate sensory analysis. Notice environmental elements that influence fear, such as light, sound, space, or social presence. Understanding context helps manage reactions and plan strategies for future exposure. Experiment with controlled exposure to feared situations. Begin with low-intensity experiences and gradually escalate. Observation during each step generates insight about resilience, coping strategies, and adaptive capacity. Record physiological and emotional responses alongside actions taken. Data-driven reflection empowers intentional modification of behavior rather than reactive avoidance. Pair self-awareness with goal alignment. Identify how fears restrict actions toward meaningful objectives and clarify what confronting fear enables. Motivation is amplified when purpose is tied to insight. Introduce periodic mental audits. Regularly assess beliefs, assumptions, and responses related to fear. Continuous self-examination prevents stagnation and ensures adaptive growth. Cultivate self-compassion. Awareness of fear often uncovers areas of vulnerability. Responding with understanding, rather than judgment, encourages honest engagement and long-term transformation. Explore fear narratives. Identify stories told internally or externally about why fear exists. Question accuracy, necessity, and benefit of these narratives. Rewriting mental scripts strengthens adaptive belief systems. Develop anticipatory strategies. Prepare methods for calming, focusing, or redirecting attention when fear arises unexpected. Pre-planned responses prevent reactive behavior and maintain agency. Recognize patterns of avoidance reinforced by fear. Identify situations, decisions, or opportunities bypassed due to discomfort. Awareness allows strategic re-engagement and expansion of capability. Combine reflection, observation, and experimentation consistently. Self-awareness deepens when these three elements are practiced together, producing actionable insight rather than abstract knowledge. Track incremental growth. Compare reactions to similar situations over time to observe improvement. This measurable progress reinforces the value of deliberate awareness. Integrate self-awareness into daily habits. Morning review, midday reflection, and evening journaling. Create a structured rhythm that solidifies understanding. Engage in dialogue with internal self. Ask questions, challenge assumptions, and note answers without judgment. Internal inquiry is essential for authentic insight. Use meditation or focused breathing to anchor attention during moments of fear. These techniques enhance observation and reduce automatic reactivity. Recognize the interconnectedness of physical, emotional, and cognitive response. Fear manifests across all dimensions. Holistic awareness provides clarity and informs comprehensive strategies. Maintain patience and persistence. Developing deep self-awareness is a gradual process. Repeated practice, reflection, and honest observation compound over time into profound insight and increased control. By committing to continuous self-exploration, documenting reactions, analyzing patterns, and integrating experiential learning, the mind develops clarity regarding the nature, origin, and impact of fear. This understanding transforms fear from a mysterious force into a comprehensible phenomenon, allowing deliberate responses, strategic action, and the cultivation of resilience that strengthens every aspect of personal and professional life.
Chapter 9. Replace excuses immediately with intentional and focused effort. Excuses are the enemy of progress and the silent companions of fear and doubt. Each time an excuse is made, energy is diverted from action to justification, and opportunity slips further from reach. Replacing excuses with intentional and focused effort transforms hesitation into tangible results and uncertainty into momentum. The first step is recognizing excuses the moment they arise. Notice internal statements such as, "I don't have time," "I'm too tired," or "I'm not ready." Label these thoughts as excuses rather than facts. Awareness creates a pause between impulse and justification, opening space for deliberate action. Evaluate the cost of excuses. Each excuse reinforces patterns of avoidance, diminishes self-confidence, and delays achievement. Understanding the cumulative impact motivates the mind to shift toward execution. Replace each excuse with a specific actionable step. If the thought is, "I don't have time," identify a single feasible action that can be completed immediately. Even minimal effort disrupts the habit of avoidance and signals capability to the subconscious mind. Break large tasks into micro-actions. Excuses often arise because challenges appear overwhelming. Reducing goals to manageable units allows action without the mental burden of perfection. Prioritize tasks by impact. Focus effort on actions that contribute most meaningfully toward objectives. Strategic attention prevents wasted energy and ensures that intentional effort produces measurable results. Introduce immediate execution as a habit. When a task or challenge is identified, act without delay. This reinforces the connection between decision and performance, reducing space for rationalization. Cultivate a results-oriented mindset. Shift focus from why something cannot be done to how it can be accomplished. Action-oriented thinking displaces fear, doubt, and justification. Use accountability to maintain effort. Share intentions and progress with a peer, mentor, or team. External tracking increases commitment and reduces the tendency to rationalize delay. Document completed actions. Seeing tangible results reinforces competence and builds confidence, while simultaneously highlighting the ineffectiveness of prior excuses. Develop a daily ritual of focused work. Structure time intentionally. Allocate energy to priority actions, and avoid distractions that invite rationalization. Track patterns of excuse-making. Identify recurring triggers, situations, or emotions that prompt justification. Awareness allows preemptive strategies to redirect attention toward productive effort.
Pair focus with environmental optimization. Arrange physical and digital spaces to minimize friction for action. Reducing barriers increases likelihood of immediate execution and diminishes opportunities for excuses to arise. Reinforce self-talk with affirmative action statement. Mentally rehearse: I act now, I follow through, I produce results. Coupling intention with behavior strengthens neural pathways associated with discipline. Introduce small incremental challenges. Confronting low-stakes actions consistently trains the mind to replace hesitation with effort. Gradually increase difficulty to build resilience and confidence. Apply reflection after each effort. Evaluate what was achieved, how focus was maintained, and what could improve next time. Reflection transforms action into learning and prevents repetition of ineffective approaches. Develop a proactive problem-solving mindset. Whenever a potential excuse appears, immediately identify a solution-oriented step. This shifts the focus from limitation to possibility. Cultivate consistent, regular, repeated application of intentional effort diminishes excuses naturally, as the mind internalizes competence and momentum. Recognize emotional cues that trigger justification. Stress, fatigue, or fear often provoke excuse. Address these states through preparation, recovery, and deliberate mental framing. Integrate micro goals into daily routines. Small, attainable objectives create continuous reinforcement of action over rationalization. Leverage past achievements to counter excuses. Remind yourself of prior successes, completed challenges, and obstacles overcome. These memories provide evidence of capability and reduce internal resistance. Pair intention with measurement. Define clear metrics for progress and evaluate them regularly. Objective tracking converts abstract effort into tangible proof, leaving no room for justification. Use deadlines to create urgency. Time constraints compel action, reducing the mental space for excuses to form. Prioritize critical tasks first to build momentum and confidence. Introduce deliberate self-challenges. Identify areas where excuses are habitual and commit to focused, consistent effort in those domains. Systematic practice rewires mental habits and increases resilience. Engage in continuous skill development. Lack of competence often underlies excuses. Learning and preparation provide the confidence necessary to act decisively. Recognize that perfectionism fuels rationalization. Accept that effort does not require flawless conditions. Imperfect action generates feedback, learning, and progress. Pair focus with mental presence. Concentrate fully on the task at hand, rather than allowing the mind to wander toward justifications. Mindful engagement enhances effectiveness and reduces delay. Build a mental framework, linking effort to identity. See yourself as someone who executes, produces, and follows through. Identity reinforcement strengthens action habits and reduces reliance on excuses. Practice saying yes to challenges. Each affirmative decision strengthens the neural pathways associated with initiative and replaces hesitation with engagement. Incorporate visualization of effort. Mentally rehearse acting with focus and producing results. Visualization primes behavior and reinforces commitment to tangible execution. Pair action with immediate reward. Recognize and celebrate completion of tasks to reinforce the positive association between effort and satisfaction. Monitor and adjust strategies. Not all methods of effort are equally effective. Evaluate approaches, refine processes, and optimize execution. Emphasize the cumulative impact of small, consistent action. Replacing excuses with repeated focused effort compounds results over time, producing substantial progress that once felt unattainable. Surround yourself with action-oriented influences. Engage with peers, mentors, or communities that prioritize execution and consistent effort. Social modeling accelerates habit formation and diminishes rationalization. Introduce structured planning. Outline tasks, steps, and deadlines clearly. Clarity reduces ambiguity, minimizes hesitation, and prevents excuses from arising due to uncertainty. Recognize cognitive distortions that generate excuses. Thoughts such as overgeneralization, catastrophizing, or comparison often underpin rationalization. Awareness allows deliberate correction. Pair deliberate effort with reflective journaling. Note actions taken, obstacles encountered, and lessons learned. Recording progress transforms effort into a measurable, reinforcing process. Embrace discomfort as a necessary component. Focused effort often requires confronting fear, uncertainty, or fatigue. Persistence in these states strengthens resilience and diminishes excuse-making. Train for progressive challenge escalation. Gradually increase complexity and stakes of actions to build confidence and internalize competence. Recognize that replacing excuses is a daily, ongoing process. Continuous attention, repeated effort, and consistent reflection solidify the habit. By committing to immediate, intentional, and focused effort, excuses lose power, hesitation dissolves, and the mind learns to prioritize action over rationalization. This discipline creates unstoppable momentum, transforms potential into achievement, and ensures that fear and doubt cannot dictate outcomes. Each day becomes an opportunity to replace inaction with deliberate movement, building a life defined by progress, accountability, and measurable success.
Chapter 10. Commit to consistency to overcome doubt permanently and effectively. Consistency is the ultimate weapon against doubt because doubt thrives in irregularity and uncertainty. Without persistent action, even the clearest intentions dissolve into hesitation and inaction. Committing to consistency transforms small efforts into lasting change and builds a foundation of trust in oneself. Begin by defining clear, specific actions that align with goals. Vague intentions invite procrastination, whereas concrete, repeatable steps create a structure that the mind can rely upon. Identify tasks that contribute meaningfully toward personal growth and prioritize their daily execution. Each repetition strengthens skill, confidence, and resilience, reinforcing the mind's capacity to act decisively under pressure. Develop a routine that anchors daily actions. Habits formed through consistent repetition reduce cognitive load, making discipline automatic rather than reliant on willpower alone. Morning rituals, structured work periods, or evening reflection sessions establish predictable patterns that reinforce persistence. Track progress rigorously. Recording completion of tasks, improvements in performance, or incremental gains provides tangible evidence of consistency and demonstrates that effort compounds over time. Celebrate incremental milestones to maintain motivation. Recognition of sustained commitment, even in small doses, validates effort and strengthens the habit loop. Address internal resistance proactively. Doubt often emerges when consistency feels monotonous or effort appears futile. Recognizing these psychological hurdles allows preemptive strategies, such as micro-goals, variation in routine, or deliberate mental reframing, to sustain engagement. Break large objectives into manageable segments. Consistency is easier to maintain when actions are achievable daily, rather than overwhelming. Small, deliberate steps create momentum and reduce the temptation to abandon goals during challenging periods. Pair consistency with accountability. Sharing intentions and progress with trusted peers, mentors, or communities increases commitment and reduces the likelihood of lapses. Social reinforcement strengthens resolve and maintains focus on outcomes. Develop resilience to setbacks. Consistency is not about perfection. Occasional failures or missed steps are inevitable. Respond by analyzing causes, adjusting strategy, and resuming action without judgment. This approach prevents temporary obstacles from derailing long-term progress. Align consistency with purpose. Understanding why daily actions matter, how they contribute to larger objectives, and the impact of sustained effort on personal growth enhances motivation and reduces doubt. Integrate reflection as a complementary practice. Daily or weekly review of progress, challenges and lessons reinforces learning, informs adjustments and sustains forward momentum. Practice patience alongside persistence. Change and mastery require time. Immediate results are rare. Trusting the compounding effect of consistent effort creates confidence and minimizes internal questioning. Establish environmental supports. Structure surroundings to facilitate repeatable action, reduce friction, and minimize distraction. A supportive environment enhances the likelihood of sustained commitment. Implement micro-habits that build cumulative strength. Even minimal, consistent actions contribute meaningfully over time. Drinking water, reading a page, or completing a single task each day reinforces the discipline of persistence. Monitor emotional and physical signals. Fatigue, stress, or boredom can threaten consistency. Recognizing and managing these states ensures sustained engagement and prevents lapses. Introduce deliberate pacing. Avoid extremes of intensity followed by burnout. Balanced effort over time maintains energy, focus, and long-term commitment. Pair repetition with adaptation. Consistency does not mean rigidity. Adjust methods, strategies, or sequences as needed to maintain effectiveness while preserving the underlying commitment to daily effort. Use visualization to reinforce commitment. Mentally rehearsing the completion of daily actions and imagining cumulative progress strengthens belief in the value of consistency and primes the mind for execution. Emphasize identity reinforcement. See oneself as someone who acts daily, follows through, and honors commitment. Internalizing this identity strengthens behavior patterns and reduces susceptibility to doubt. Track patterns of resistance. Identify when and why the urge to skip or postpone arises. Awareness allows targeted strategies to counter internal sabotage and maintain continuous effort. Apply incremental escalation. Gradually increase the intensity, duration, or complexity of actions to sustain growth, while reinforcing consistent engagement. Combine action with reflection on impact. Recognizing how daily effort contributes to larger goals sustains motivation and validates persistence. Pair consistency with deliberate focus. Each action should be intentional and aligned with purpose to maximize effectiveness and reinforce the mind's trust in deliberate practice. Recognize that doubt diminishes in the face of evidence. Each repeated action, no matter how small, builds proof that progress is occurring and that obstacles are surmountable. Integrate rewards strategically. Reinforce completion of consistent actions through acknowledgement, reflection, or minor incentives, strengthening habit formation and maintaining morale. Build flexibility within structure. While daily action is essential, allow minor adjustments for unforeseen circumstances to prevent discouragement and maintain long-term adherence. Practice deliberate sequencing. Organize tasks so that small wins occur first, building momentum and reinforcing commitment for more challenging action. Use self-monitoring to maintain awareness. Regularly assess adherence to daily routines and effectiveness of actions to prevent drift and ensure alignment with goals. Cultivate mental toughness. Daily repetition strengthens the mind's capacity to act even when motivation wanes, creating a reliable pattern of execution. Embrace the compounding effect. Consistency transforms modest actions over weeks and months into substantial transformation, producing results that sporadic effort cannot achieve. Address internal dialogue. Replace questioning or doubting statements with affirmations of commitment and acknowledgement of past sustained effort. This reinforces the neural pathways of persistence. Incorporate accountability checks periodically. External reporting of progress increases responsibility and reinforces continuous action. Establish fallback mechanisms. Identify minimal actions to maintain consistency during periods of high stress or fatigue. Even partial adherence preserves momentum and habit formation.
Use measurable indicators of performance. Objective tracking of effort and outcomes reinforces consistency and provides motivation through visible results. Integrate self-reflection with planning. Reviewing past performance informs daily scheduling, task prioritization, and adjustment of strategies for optimal adherence. Pair consistent effort with intentional rest. Recovery supports sustained engagement, prevents burnout, and strengthens overall discipline. Recognize that the mind initially resists repetition. Persistence trains tolerance for discomfort and develops resilience to internal resistance. Apply consistency across multiple areas of life. Professional, personal, and health goals all benefit from structured, repeated effort, producing holistic growth. Leverage the principle of identity-based habit. Repeating actions consistency strengthens the self-concept as someone capable, reliable, and disciplined. Track cumulative progress visually. Graphs, journals, or lists create tangible evidence of persistent effort, reinforcing motivation and trust in the process. Introduce deliberate challenges to test adherence. Facing resistance strengthens commitment and internalizes the habit of daily action. Prioritize long-term transformation over immediate gratification. Consistency is effective when viewed as a sustained lifestyle approach rather than temporary bursts of effort. Pair deliberate practice with ongoing learning. Each repeated action should refine skills, knowledge, and capacity to execute effectively. Recognize the transformative power of repetition. Each day of deliberate action chips away at doubt, builds confidence, and strengthens the mind's ability to respond effectively to challenges. By committing to consistent daily effort, tracking progress, adjusting strategies, and maintaining purposeful focus, doubt is systematically replaced with confidence, mastery, and resilience. Over time, consistency creates unstoppable momentum, shapes identity, and establishes a life defined by deliberate action, measurable results, and unwavering belief in one's ability to overcome any obstacle.